So, man, we finally got this thing done.
Hell yeah, we did.
All the way out here in Vegas, and you want to? I mean, you can share the big news if you want. I mean,
Okay. Yeah, so we just worked on this huge collaboration agreement here to do some live tailgate shows from all of our tailgate cities and as well as some other tailgate cities across the country, kind of taking former NFL players and kind of creating these awesome like pregame experience shows alongside the all-inclusive experiences we're already putting together. It's pretty awesome. I think we're going to take some things to the next level.
No, yeah. So tell me a little bit about like Gameday Hospitality and how this whole thing came about.
Yeah, so Gameday Hospitality, we do all-inclusive pregame events, corporate hospitality events, pregame experiences, all sorts of different events, up to about 200 events a year now around the country.
200?
Yeah, 200 is what we're planning this year. We have about 240 events right now in the planning stages for this season. So it's a lot of experiences there, but started my first company when I was 16, building cornhole boards in my parents' garage. And that just, cornhole blew up. Everybody wanted those cornhole sets, the custom sets, all that stuff. And graduated high school with about like 10 part-time employees, warehouse, everything at 18, and kind of dropped out of college before going, built that up, eventually sold the manufacturing there to our competitor, and started a company called tailgategiant.com where we sold everything for tailgating. Tents, chairs, tables, games, all online.
We're strictly online.
Online sales, like all online retail. And as that was going on, kept getting asked to sponsor these tailgate events and experiences. And I was like, I could do this so much better. So 2016 started Gameday. And that kind of became my baby as like online retail kind of everybody's expecting Amazon same day, 2-hour shipping. It's like, you can't do that with like a big cornhole set or a tent or this or that. So the margins just got so thin. And then COVID kind of was the killer of the retail and just kind of getting all in on the hospitality. But started Gameday 2016. We started with Buffalo and Carolina, and then some college events, a little bit of NASCAR. NASCAR wasn't really the best fit for what we do, but kind of built it from Buffalo and Carolina and kind of built it up, added other cities and things. Then COVID hit, 19 months, no events, kind of went back to basics and then rebuilt again. And now we're bigger and better than ever. And I mean, this year is going to be insane with working with you all, but also with everything else we have planned.
So this is a true story. I never been to a tailgate until I retired.
Yeah,
from
that makes
the league.
sense. Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So I never been. So I never knew. I mean, I seen it on TV, but I didn't know actually what happened at the tailgate.
Yeah.
And so when I retired, I think it was around my first tailgate I ever been to was around 2017 ever.
Okay.
2017. And so I went and had the best fun of my damn life. And so I was thinking in my head, like, while we're out there doing business, doing work on the field, the real fun is out here in the tailgates. And so immediately I started to, I went to more and more tailgates after that. But I always felt that tailgates were like the ultimate meetup. Right, like it was the ultimate meetup, and you know your friends, your family, like it's something that people plan just as much as they go to the game.
Almost more planning than going to the game. The game's easy. And yeah, it is that meetup of friends and family and things, and it's also become like a place for like business to happen and transactions to happen. And like I can't tell you how many brands we work with that are like, once we get in the suite in the game or whatever, nobody wants to be talked to, nobody wants to be sold, nobody wants like all that shit and just dealing with all the talking and stuff. At the tailgate, you can kind of play cornhole, have a couple drinks, talk business. When it's 3rd and 2, nobody wants to be like talking about this business deal and stuff like that. They're focused on the game. So we've actually found that like people like interacting and on the corporate side of things, but the fun and bringing people together. And our whole business model is how do we like make it easier for people and hassle-free. We're not trying to disrupt the people that have been going to their same family tailgate for 20, 30 years in the same spot. We're trying to make it easy for the 2, 3, 4% of the stadium, like 1,500, 2,000 people. The other 96, 97% can go do their thing. But we just want to, if we get 3% of every NFL market, we're killing it. Like it's how do we create this awesome experience for around 2,000 people? And again, we don't want to disrupt the things that currently exist. And it's a lot of it's out-of-towners or people going back to their hometown for 1 or 2 games, or like in our Buffalo market, which is our biggest, like people coming from Toronto, people coming from the other cities and stuff that are kind of coming on buses and corporate groups, and bringing all those people together and creating that experience where you don't want to like be sitting behind your rental car eating subs you bought at the store and like a 6-pack with your buddy and nobody else. Like you want to be around the vibes and all the people.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, man, Planet San Diego, which is like a big military town, and a lot of these guys get stationed all over the world. And so they actually, this is what made me think of the tailgate when I started doing some stuff at the Chargers game at SoFi Stadium, and then eventually I was at the Buffalo Bills Stadium, and playing in San Diego, the military was such a big part of the town, right? And these guys, they can't go to the tailgates. They can't go to the games. And so I started immediately thinking, I was like, this is the ultimate FOMO. This is the ultimate, hey, you're not here, but I wanted to create something that made you feel like you're there. That's why I was thinking of live streaming the tailgates for Lights Out Sports TV. And I started to really look at everything like Amazon got the Thursday night games, Fox Sports got, Sundays, and ESPN got Monday Night Footballs, like YouTube and all these other people. And I was like, man, a lot of the part of the fun of the game is the tailgates. How do we create this FOMO, right, of everybody wishing that they went to the game? And I was like, you know what? I'm going to live stream the damn tailgate. And so what you guys are doing, because you guys are the best in the country to do it, along with the live stream of Lights Out Sports, to me, I was like, this is a no-brainer for us. It makes sense.
100%. And again, you're trying to create that FOMO. And in an era where it's easier for people to go like, I'm going to buy a 65-inch TV for $300 and watch this at home, when it costs like a family of 4 to go to a football game now, well over $1,000 a game. And like a lot of people, it's like you got to create that energy and that experience around the game. Otherwise, people are just gonna be like, I'll just go watch at home. And like that's what a lot of NFL teams are missing, is they're not incorporating the tailgate and the pregame atmosphere and like the reason for people to actually go spend all of that money and go to these games. Like obviously there's nothing like being at an NFL game, but for a lot of people to justify the cost, they gotta like have a hell of an experience. And unfortunately, when you're like in the bottom of the league, it's hard to create that experience. Like some of these teams that are struggling right now, but like the ultimate like tailgate experience. And in a lot of these cities, like in Buffalo, you have a 73,000 seat stadium. Right. You have about 100 to 110,000 people that tailgate. You have people that just go tailgate. They go home, watch the game. They go to the bar and watch the game. They just want to be around the tailgate and the atmosphere. And like the new stadium there will have like 5,000, 6,000 less seats. So it's like the NFL is going to, how can we make a 65,000 seat stadium with more premium seats and make even more money with less seats, less staff, less whatever. And unfortunately, like they're scaling it down because they want people watching on TV, because they want the TV money. But creating that atmosphere around games, and we've gotten into like in certain cities where like teams were like frustrated that we were doing something in that city and they weren't making any money off of it. And it's like, well, we're getting people excited to go to your game when your team sucks or when this is happening. Yeah. It's like we're making you money indirectly, even if you're not getting a cut of the event we're producing. Like if people are having that experience, we're getting corporate groups together, we're getting groups to go to the games. Like those people might not be going if they don't have that camaraderie and that experience before going.
100%. I always say that people will pay for an experience, right? If you're going to drop cash, you're going to spend money, and you always want to do it with your friends, family, and people you know, people you're close to, and you don't mind paying the money, but you want the best experience possible. So when I went to you guys' tailgate, it was like a party within, like it was like a secluded part. It was crazy because there was stage. Myself, George Wilson, and Terrence McGee, who I played with, we all hosted our show, the Ultimate Fan Zone, in Buffalo with you guys, and we were up on the stage. And I was looking out, like, it was just a sea, it was a wave of people. And I was like, man, this is going to look, in my head, because I'm always thinking about TV. Yeah. Always. I'm like, in my head, this shit is going to look cool as hell on TV. And I saw it, the replay of it, when we got done shooting the show. I was like, dude, this is badass. Like, there's nothing out there like this.
There's nothing like our, like, Buffalo experience out there. There's, like, we try to replicate in other cities, and they're great. They're awesome experiences. Like we built up these tailgate experiences, but Buffalo is like our baby and like how we built it up. And we have like combined almost like the live band and the music and this and that. And like you have the stage, like it's a whole on experience. Somebody, I think it was our Monday night game in September, like reviewed it or whatever, like was like, it's like a Bills themed circus. Like you got all the mechanical buffalo, you got this, you got that, you got all these different things going on. And there's a lot of things we can do when it's not snowing. Once it starts snowing, there's a lot of stuff we got to like adjust, but we try to create fun around the whole experience. And like the Sunday night game this year, we had Doug Flutie there come host, and he was like, I don't know if I want to go. I don't know about this. And then he came, the Bills couldn't drag him out of there to be the legend of the game. Yeah. He was playing drums with the band for a couple songs because he's in a rock band in Florida. He's like, can I play with the band? We're like, hell yes. Yeah. So we have like former quarterback Doug Flutie playing in the band on stage, shooting off t-shirts. We got like a 1 in a million picture where we had like the pyro flame going off as he was shooting the t-shirt off the stage. I saw it. It's like, there's all these like pictures, like, and
this is like, this is Doug Flutie. Dude. Like, this is,
and he gave one hell of a speech to the whole crowd, tell him like, he gets everybody hyped up. And he was talking about, he's like, I played in Buffalo for 3 years. He's like, I played for all these different teams, and nobody like the Bills fans like comes up to him, interacts with him, is all excited. And like, you get these guys that get the energy back. And like I said, we're trying to create the ultimate experience and get fans involved and giveaways and contests and this and that. But we bring a lot of value for like a very fair price and like making these experiences happen. And a lot of it's because of sponsors and private groups and things like that that fund it. But we've over time built that up, and that's where like our Pittsburgh market and some of these other cities are starting to get to, where we can build it up there. And obviously with what we're going to do with the live shows and having the players involved and getting them up there shooting off t-shirts and doing different things before and after the shows, and like getting the players interacting with the crowd and creating content and stuff that you can use in segments in the show as well, is going to be huge. Like I think having these players and having kind of some of the consistent names as well, and people like, oh, I want to go meet this guy, I can go to this event.
And just to talk a little bit about the players, you know, so the whole show concept for us was 3 former players to every team. They come out and they're around their fans, and they get a chance to go out there on grill with the fans and talk to them while they're grilling. Hey, what are you cooking? Why are you cooking? Who are you cooking for? You got some guys that's going on by their RVs or how they traveled there, whatever way they got there to the game. You got the other player, which is his own camera, is really just talking about, you know, the music, the fun, the cornhole, the games. So there's so much integration into what we're doing. Like this has never been done in this kind of way. And I'll tell you, for example, selfishly, there's a lot of players when they retire that don't get these TV opportunities. Man, I was fortunate when I retired. I got a job. I was at NFL Network for a couple of years. And I went to Fox Sports. I went to ESPN. I was at the launch of WWE Network, and I was at, you know, ABC in LA. And I had all these opportunities to have a seat. But guess what? There's only 4 seats.
Yep.
There's only 4 seats to a network. And you're fortunate as hell to get one of those seats. And I held one of those seats for a very long time. But there's not many opportunities. And there's so many guys that's looking to getting to TV. They're trying to get a job broadcasting. So for me, selfishly, to give all these former guys that go through the NFL broadcasting school or wherever they go to, and they're looking to get work and they're looking to get on TV, it felt really good. It felt really good, man. I was with my man George Wilson, who was just a legend playing for the Bills that haven't come around a whole lot. And so to see him back there in front of the crowd, you know, he was the legend of the game, right, for the Bills. You know, my boy Terrence McGee, who came out, he played cornerback at Buffalo. He came out. I don't know how in the hell I got T McGee out, but I did. And to see those guys again interacting, and also now looking for more opportunities on TV, was a great selfishly was a great feeling for me.
Yeah, and getting these guys out, like you said, there's only 4 seats. You look at like a place like Fox, where besides this new like Gronk seat they shoved in there to get Gronk on TV,
right,
like it's been the same guys for 20 plus years, like on the pregame show. Like these guys, like once they get in those spots, they don't leave. Like you have the same like people over and over again. You look at like, I mean, CBS and Fox have kind of tried to mix people in. The networks almost had to start the extra hour pregame show and start a whole nother show before the pregame show to get more guys in there and get people in the mix. And so, yeah, but getting people out there in that experience, and like, I think there's a lot of opportunities to create cool things. And like you said, it's going to be out in the parking lots, all the different experience, the whole game day experience, and getting content, not just within our events, but the events will be kind of the focal point of the show.
Right.
The where the sets will be, where the actual show will be produced from. But you're going to be out in the crowd all around all the stadiums, finding the best tailgate spots, finding the people grilling, finding all the different things happening, not just within the events, but having that, we call it a stocked pond of, you have 1,500, 2,000 people that all in their ticket terms, it says, well, you're getting filmed. Like you have like photo releases, all that stuff, and you have a stock pond. We have different content creators and stuff we've worked with that aren't doing live shows like you, but they're coming in, they're getting interactive content and stuff with people, because it's like you have all these people that are looking to have fun, they're drinking, they're having a good time, and you can go get interactive content. One of our partners in Buffalo that helps promote our events locally with their media stuff, they like, one of the favorite things they do every week is they'll go interview like the away fans that are at the tailgate and ask them what the score is going to be. And then when the Bills kick their ass, they'll post the video of all the crazy predictions of the away team, and like even like getting the away content and getting the people all, we're going to kick the Bills' ass, it's going to be 50-2, and then they lose 25-3, and you get that video and like they edit it all together, and like that stocked pond of content, the ability to include experiential marketing and include these brands. And it's not just on site. Like we have, I think our Buffalo alone social media was about 12-13 million impressions last month.
Yeah.
For one city. So it's like we're getting hundreds of millions of impressions a year, because people want to, there is that FOMO.
Right.
People want to experience what's going on in the Bills Mafia, what's going on in Pittsburgh, what's going on here. They want to see that experience. And we have videographers and photographers and stuff at all these events, and we have so much content, but we're trying to constantly create new content and things to push out there and be like, here's what you're missing. here's why you should be here.
Creating
Here's
FOMO.
and exactly. We have way too. I mean, we have tens of thousands of pictures, all the stuff we could use, and we just kind of pick and choose the best content to use. But it's all about creating content and things now. And like I said, like we're not doing a podcast, we're not doing this, but we're showcasing our brand and what you're missing out on, and also showcasing the sponsors and including like Salen's Hot Dog, who's like a Buffalo-owned company since the 1800s.
Talk about the eating competition you guys had.
Yeah, we've been doing like wing eating competition or hot dog eating competitions, things like that, and like we can integrate our sponsors into it, where we have like this company, Salen's Hot Dog's been around since the 1800s, family owned since the 1800s in Buffalo, and like we work with them, and like we have different wings made on site, like in Buffalo, where we'll make 7,000 wings on site with these wing partners, and like showcasing those and like doing who can eat 5 wings the fastest on stage while giving the band a break, and like that content and how you get the video and stuff like that. And, like one game we gave away like 2 tickets, better tickets to the game for who could eat the wings the fastest, to whatever. Like you come up with something creative to showcase that. We also started doing like stuff on social media where like send us this video of you doing this fast and we'll include you in the wing eating contest and give you 2 tickets to the tailgate or whatever it is. Like we're trying to find people on social media submitting things. And then at the tailgate, they can be in the wing eating competition or the hot dog or this or that. And there's so many different competitions we'll come up with to showcase in the show, so it's not the same thing every week.
I know. So let me ask you, how competitive? This is something I was thinking. I don't know if it's happened just yet. How competitive can like games, competitions, and things like that get between the tailgates? Like, is that a possibility of like someone for the Buffalo Bills tailgate ate 5 wings faster than the Chargers game? Charges at Thunder down the Thunder Alley.
We could do something like that once you get the live stream and once you have like the bounce around coverage, the red zone style bounce around feed, where it's like, okay, let's go. We can almost do it live where you have the people in LA and the people in Buffalo and like 3 different cities all go at the same time live on the show, and you could have them eating and like have a guy from each city compete against each other and see who eats the fastest. Like you could do something like that, or cornhole or this. Like once we do the planning stages, we can come up with some cool activities where it's not just in that one city.
Yep.
But you could have like, oh, here's the Dolphins tailgate down here. Here's the Bills, and here's the Jets. Let's have an AFC East battle today. They're all at home. Let's have a battle between these guys who can make the most cornhole shots in 5 minutes or 2 minutes or whatever it is, in like a minute, like, and have them all going at the same time in 3 different cities.
I just look at this as, I mean, I don't think anything will ever be bigger than game, right? Because everybody's going to tune into the game, things like that. But I think that it's a way, it's almost like pre-gaming, right? Where people go out before you go somewhere, you're having some drinks at home, like you're pre-gaming before you go out. I think this is the closest thing you'll get for people to get game ready. Do you see that happening?
Yeah, I think and people kind of get sick of just listening to stats and this injury reports and this and that. They want something fun and entertaining to watch before the game. And when they're not there at the game and they're missing out, they want to be able to experience that experience. And I think there's a lot of opportunity to kind of really showcase that and create that and make people want to watch that over like the traditional pregame show that's the same shit every week. Like it's the same thing. It's the same thing every week. Like where it's like, okay, and then Jay Glazer comes in and tells you who's out. It's like you have that on Twitter 20 minutes before that. Like everybody knows what's going on. Like they can look at their phone in 2 seconds now. Just like how everybody used to grow up watching SportsCenter. And like you used to know what was going on in sports or what was coming up tonight by watching SportsCenter every night. Now you have events like the X Games where you don't even know they're on anymore because you used to know because you're watching SportsCenter. It'd be like X Games on next. And like what are their numbers down to, because they don't have that like feed of people.
Right.
Where like nobody watches highlights on SportsCenter or whatever anymore because they're just on their phone instantly as the game's going on. They see the highlight that happened. It's like, so creating a cool experience where it's like, I got to go watch this because that. And you also, the people that go to the events, you want them to go back after and watch the live show after, and they can go back and watch the recording of it and like be like, oh shit, I made this, or I made that, or that was really cool. Or like you can have the actual people that are actually there for the event go back and watch the shows as well and see where they were and sharing clips of them making the show and things like that.
I think this has like infinite possibilities. I mean, seriously, when I think about it, the more and more like what you guys do, and it was one of the things what made me want to partner with you guys because of how passionate you are in this. Like this is the first time you ever told me. We met, we sat down, and we had we had lunch in New Orleans. Yeah. This is the first time I heard about the garage story and how you started out, right? And so the more and more we talk about this and just a partnership, I think this has like endless possibilities to not only just a competition between tailgates, obviously getting more and more people to the game that was going to go to the game before. But I think this is something that can be around for a very, very long time.
Agreed. And like this isn't going away. Like these experiences, these events, people are still going to be going to football games well into the future. Like you said, nothing will ever be bigger than the game. No other sport is bigger than football. Like everybody tries to get those TV ratings and stuff like that. And there's nothing like 16 games a year or a year, the set schedule on Sundays. Like most people's fall. They're not doing anything on Sundays because like it's football Sundays. There's no other sport where they're like a set day of the week half the year that people are like, I'm not doing anything else today. And no, honey, I'm not going apple picking. The game's on. Like that doesn't exist for like any other sport. People like these sports that are playing 80, 100 games a year, like baseball and stuff like that. So there's nothing bigger than football, and like the experience around football is like the next biggest thing, and how to showcase all these things going on in these cities. And then also just the content opportunities from not just the live shows, but the going back, the best of, the worst of, like the recap stuff you can do at the end of the year. The highlights of like in the off season, you can post, here's like the best eating competitions from all the cities this year. Like you could do different, like almost on the Sundays after the season's over, come up with a different show every week to showcase and and have somebody do like a recap show.
Yes. And that's exactly what my next thing was. When I talk about endless possibilities, I think that there's a show during the show, after the show. Like it's a nonstop thing where because I think it too, and just being in a live streaming business, and I know that how short people attention span is, and sometimes that's why it's going to be so cool to be able to bounce around to these tailgates, right? Like if you're watching, and I love my Chargers to death, but if you're watching like 60 minutes straight there, you're like, oh, I want to see what's going on in Detroit or whatever. I want to see what's going on in Carolina. So having the ability to bounce around, obviously keeping people's attention span, but also they can watch the whole entire show for the Chargers if they want to. But you just alluded to something that I think there's a show during the show, post-show, pre-show. This thing is really endless.
And you could be watching that bounce around feed and like see, oh, this is going on in Pittsburgh. Like I want to see more of that and go flip to the Pittsburgh feed. Really? And like that's gonna be cool. Like it's like, oh, I didn't know this player. I haven't seen that guy in forever. I want to go hear what he has to say. Or you can go back and like, listen to it. And like I think there's gonna be a lot of cool things that come out of it. I think you're gonna also have people missing it like on the away game weeks because it's gonna be a home game thing. Like where they'll be like, oh, wait, I wish I was watching this, and now they're gonna go watch the other teams, the feed, because you'll have the feed every week of the main games, but they're gonna be missing their team. But like they can go watch the other different teams or go check on see what the competition like they're like. Their rivals are doing. It's like it's a Bills away week. What's Miami doing down there? Like, there's no way they tailgate better than us. Like, you can get like the competitive juices flowing.
Oh man, no doubt, and especially when you're talking about cities like L.A., right? Or you're talking about even here in Las Vegas, where it's like a melting pot from everywhere else. Like you have so many fans that live here that's Chiefs fans, or you have so many fans that's Buffalo fans. And I can tell you right now, down in North Carolina, I've been to 3 Bills bars in North Carolina, which I didn't even know existed. And so when you're talking about just people feeling like they're there, that's not, you're creating something special that they can actually feel like they're there and they're not in present.
Agreed. And like you said, in Carolina, I think there's 11 or 12 Bills bars and Buffalo restaurants.
I thought 3 was a lot. So
no, I mean, they're like between bars and restaurants and like Buffalo food places. I mean, it's such a transplant city, like you said. Like people moved here in Vegas, but like in Carolina, it's Rust Belt cities. It's Buffalo, it's Pittsburgh, it's Cleveland. Like when the Steelers play in Carolina, it's all Steelers fans. When the Bills play in Carolina, like there's those cities that are the transplant cities. Then there's the cities that are the destination cities, the Vegases, the New Orleans, the Miamis, the Nashvilles, where like Nashville, their stadium's taken over by half the other team's fans almost every week because people want to go to Nashville, and they're like, the Bills played there a couple of years ago on Monday Night Football. They said it was like 65% Bills fans. And like the Titans season ticket holders like, screw it, we'll make our money back for a couple games. But like you get these cities that are like the destination cities where when we see them coming up on the schedule, because you know who you're going to play a couple years out besides a couple games that are based on where you play. So we look ahead and we're like, oh, we got Bills in Vegas next year or Bills here. And people get excited around that kind of stuff.
Where do you see this thing ultimately going? I know right now we're talking about 16, 20 teams, somewhere around there, possibly next year. But is there, I mean, and certain markets aren't that great.
Yeah.
Do you think because of what you guys have been doing or the future partnership, what we're planning on building, that it gets some of these teams interested in being like tailgate friendly?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely tailgating going on in every city. It's whether we can produce what we do with the all-inclusive and the alcohol and things like that. But also there's just certain markets we're prioritizing. And like we kind of found that like our or markets of like these Rust Belt cities, like the Detroits, the Buffaloes, the Pittsburgh, like
Kansas City.
like, Kansas City, like those like the gritty cities are like the ones that do best. And then the destination places, the places where people want to go, the New Orleans is, even like the Carolinas and things like that. Also, we try not to step on toes. We work with a lot of these groups that do the home and the away tailgates for these teams, and we'll host their away. We'll produce away stuff. Like for Bills Ravens divisional round, we had over 800 Ravens fans from Jimmy's Famous Seafoods tailgate there in Baltimore. Jimmy's, yeah. And like we also had 1,600 Bills fans. So we're producing 2 different tailgates for 2,500 people at the same time. And you can't be that asshole that they help you when you go to that city with some of these markets, and then when they come to your city, be like, "Hey, sorry, it's the playoffs. We can't host you." Like, because people get mad. Like, we have like Bills fans, like, "Why are you hosting the Ravens?" And it's like, first of all, it's a business. We're not going to turn down the revenue. Like, it's a business. Like, we're growing this. We got to feed families and stuff like that. You got all these people involved, and it's become a big company. And also, we get help every time when we go to these away cities. Like we take Buffalo and Pittsburgh on the road, and we do the away tailgates, and you got to work together. And so there's certain markets like I wouldn't compete with like my quote unquote friends in the industry when they already have something going on. So like the Phillies and the Baltimores, and there's certain markets that are big markets, but we could still do the show there and find partners and things to.
And I think that's so important, man, because obviously it's a business side of things where you want what you guys Gameday Hospitality, you want the best, right? With what you guys do. I think there's also a camaraderie type of feel that there's enough to go around, right? Like you can still win. You're still going to make money. You're still going to be super successful without having to go stomp somebody else. And I think it makes it a lot more workable and easy to deal with when you have that type of attitude and like mindset when you go into cities.
Yeah, and it's a tight-knit community in this like sports travel, sports hospitality space. Like we kind of all know who each other are, and like when you have like a bad egg in that world, like everybody knows instantly because everybody talks to each other. So if somebody screws over somebody or does something here or does something there, it gets around very quick because it's like everybody talks to each other constantly to get stuff done. And there's also like playoffs come around and you're going on the road and you got to make something happen on 6 days notice. And like a lot of people help each other. And when you get to the Super Bowl and some of these big events, like depending on which teams make it, you're all kind of combining forces. Like, okay, well, this matchup sucks. We got Eagles and Chiefs again. What can we do to kind of make something happen here?
Right.
And like, whereas if it was Bills versus Commanders or whatever, and both markets are crazy. So there is like a fatigue when it comes to like the Super Bowl, and that sucks every year where it's like, okay, or there's certain markets where it's like, okay, this is really hard to activate a championship around, whether it's our college national championship. And there's a couple cities where we don't have a good venue or something. And it's like, we lose a whole major event revenue one year because it's in X city. So, we don't just do the NFL. We do the college events. We do concerts. We do soccer. We do a lot of these different sports that are in these NFL stadiums or in these college stadiums. And we love a good neutral site college football game where you have Alabama and Georgia playing in Atlanta, like those like both teams traveling in, whether it's the ones that are local like that, where it's Bama and Georgia, or whether it's the teams that don't know where to go because they're in a city they've never been to and they want that tailgate atmosphere and things like that. The college football playoff's been interesting this year because we thought, okay, 12-team playoff, this is going to be great. There's going to be so much demand. But you kind of saw that it's hard for these teams' fans to travel 3-4 games. Like, I'm a diehard Notre Dame fan for college football, and like I didn't go to the on-campus game, but I went to the other 3 games. And it's like, it's hard to, on a whim, go in a 4-week stretch, go to 3 different cities to go see your team make it to a championship game. And the championship game was outrageous, but like you saw in the lower rounds where the ticket prices were dropping and stuff because it's not your one bowl game a year and it's around the holidays and things like that. So I think it's gonna be interesting to see how that kind of works out. Maybe they end up doing the second round at home again because they're realizing like it's hard for these fans to travel to. Like if you were a Notre Dame fan, you had the game in Indiana, then you had New Orleans back home, then you have to go to Miami for the Orange Bowl back home, then Atlanta to the championship. That's a lot of travel if you're a fan to go see all those games. So whereas it used to be you went to 1 bowl game, maybe 2 with the playoff and the championship, and people can kind of swing that when their team makes the championship, but it's a lot of money, time, that to do it. So like I said, people are willing to pay for the experience, but you kind of have to really bring it. And around those college events, and then also in the off season, like you have all these country concerts and rock concert stuff coming to these stadiums, and we're trying to create those tailgate experiences around that. And sometimes those are different demographics. Like we've hosted Taylor Swift tailgates.
Right.
People aren't drinking as much at the Taylor Swift tailgates as they are at the NFL ones.
What do y'all show there, like cupcakes?
Exactly. You'd be surprised, like We did 2 years ago. We had 2 in Cincinnati, 2 in Kansas City, because those were 2 of our markets back-to-back weeks. So 4 Taylor Swift tailgates, and like I think between the first 3 of them, we had like 7 combined dudes. It was just women, daughters, this, that.
Yeah.
Then it's just a lot of seltzers getting served, a lot of like light food. Like it's just a different crowd, but people go crazy. That's a whole nother world of crazy that people are willing to spend the money and go be around the same people. And like we had DJs and stuff at those events where they're playing like a mix of different music similar to her, and all the people are just like, just play more Taylor. It's like you're gonna go see her in an hour, but they just want Taylor Swift all the time. Whereas the NFL is a little bit different, but there are all these niches and things like that. And you also see that the concerts are way more regional and spread out, where like this act's only going to, I don't know, Kansas City in the middle of the country. That's their only Midwest show. And you have people coming from all these different states to go see that one.
Right.
Whereas football is more, you have the spread out fans that are like the transplants, but you kind of know who they are because they're diehard, I don't know, Broncos fans or this or that have been forever. And you can market to Broncos fans for years and years and years. It's really hard to figure out who the hell is going to a concert on a random day. Yeah. Because it could be anybody. Exactly. Like a baseball game or things like that. So like we've tried to do the baseball, we've tried to do different things, but it's really hard to be like, who are the 30,000 people going to this Pirates game on a Friday night? Yeah. Because it could be anybody that decided to buy a ticket 5 seconds ago.
Yeah. Well, man, I'll tell you, it's very few things. And I got a lot of stuff going on. We got, a lot of combat sports and stuff that we're doing, but to create something to be back around the game of football for me personally, and then have the opportunity to work with, some of the players I played with, some of the players I played against, giving these former NFL players an opportunity to get back on TV, get back into the mix, man. I think that a lot of players, when they get done, they feel a void. They feel left out. It happens, it happens to most guys. Especially making that transition into the second phase of your life when you get done. A lot of guys just get lost in the shuffle, and before you know it, they're not coming around the teams anymore. They don't feel invited. That's a lot of the same talk that I hear when I talk to a lot of these former guys. And last year, the Chargers were so great to work with because they gave the guys tickets, them and their family, them and their wives, or whoever they were with. And I saw the attitude. I saw the gratefulness, the happiness of being back around again. So I'm really happy for that, man. But more importantly, I'm happy that we're about to change the game and really take it up a notch. What you guys already been doing, give you a lot of credit for what you guys have built, and kind of partnering us to make this thing more of a national platform where people can see it. People can see it in real time, man. So I'm looking forward to the partnership with Gameday Hospitality and Lights Out Sports TV.
Yeah, very excited. I mean, ever since you came to that first Bills game, we kind of interacted and we kind of gone back and forth for months. It's like it just made sense. Like it's the perfect fit to kind of mix the media with the actual experience of the events. Yeah. And also the kind of collabs on the experiential marketing and the advertising and stuff that we could do. And like if you're a brand and you're not activating in this space, like this is a great way to reach the football fans. Like you go partner with the team, and the team salespeople aren't going to like to hear this, but you go partner with a team, you're putting up a lot of money up front to be that sponsor. And then you have to then go spend a ton of money to activate around being able to use that logo or being able to use this to then reach that fan. Whereas for a very fair price comparatively, we can reach a lot of that audience and get millions of impressions and get those people and get around the actual fans and the experience and do cool stuff both on the show and within these events. And advertising to that same demographic as well through the streaming and things is going to be awesome as well to reach those audiences. Also, we love like a good competition. Like, okay, this team's sponsored by Coke. Let's go talk to Pepsi. Yeah. Like we love like the alternative 100%. Brands because that's where there's a lot of marketing dollars there and things like that. And these people are trying to reach these fans as well. And we love kind of trying to integrate these brands and these experiences and things because that's what drives creating the best possible events. Yeah. We want to keep the fan price low enough that it's a fair price and experience. We don't want to be jacking up the prices to create that if we can have sponsors and things on board to create an awesome experience.
Well, can't wait, man. Can't wait to get started, man. Appreciate you for coming out. Thanks.
No problem. Appreciate it. Excited.